Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my face. Um, Sorry about it. It is the only one I've got, but that's where we are. And I'm the host. I'm talking. I should take it upon myself to apologize for Nate's as well. But this is what we got. TV now. Very exciting times here at the Torch. We're talking NXT for June the 4th, 2024. Bruce will be along with us shortly. I am Kelly Wells. You can find me at Spooky Milk. Apparently, that is what I made my screen name, even though I was going to change that placeholder. My name is Kelly Wells. Nate, who are you?
Last I checked, I'm Nate Lindberg. You can follow me on Twitter at Nate Lindberg. I'm here talking some NXT with you guys. We're here with the new video format. We had a little bit of trouble getting here tonight, but we made it. We got it, and looking forward to breaking down the show tonight.
Yes, indeed. And kind of a fun go home show, I thought. Busy, light on matches, just 5 matches, but a lot of work done to get us where we were going. So Nate, I wasn't here last week. I have not seen any commentary on Noam Dar. Was he moved out of the way because they had something else they wanted to do, or is there an injury here as well?
Not an injury that I've seen, or at least seen reported anyway. If anybody else has heard anything, feel free to let us know in the chat. But as far as I'm aware, it kind of just seems like it's a story to get to Ethan Page and Trick Williams.
Noam, if you're watching, just let us know. We won't tell anyone it was you. Yes, so your main event segment, Ethan Page. This is a wrestler I have seen live and in person and up close because he was at a First Wrestling show. These are shows that happen in Minneapolis periodically at First Ave, which was where Prince played a lot of his smaller shows before he got real big, and that's where most of Purple Rain is filmed. So I saw Ethan Page there. I saw him wrestle a match with Colt Cabana. Lots of people on that show actually have made it on to bigger and better things, whether they be WWE, AEW, or elsewhere. But a lot of go to see indie shows. That's what I'm saying. So there you go. Ethan Page was all over this show. He was all up in Ava's face, and she was not having it when he was making all these demands. Now, we as viewers could kind of see a mile away that these demands were going to involve a championship match with Trick Williams coming up on this Sunday. They got there real quick. I think they got away with it, Nate, but I will see if you agree with me here. I thought the work, Trick stumbled on a couple of lines at the end, but I think he got away with that too, because the second time he just kind of soaked up some cheers that were just starting to happen. So that was pretty good. So yeah, that was, for me, this segment worked. It is a lot in a small amount of time, but Battleground is I think a fairly loaded show as far as NXT goes. And as a result, I have no complaints about what they did here, Nate.
No, neither do I. I thought this was a really effective segment, and as somebody that is not super familiar with Ethan Page, this made me a fan of Ethan Page. I really liked his conviction on the mic. The fact that the crowd, when before Trick Williams comes out, the crowd's chanting "Whoop that trick." Ethan Page just stands up, tells the crowd to shut up. Like that type of ad libbing, I think is just fantastic. He carried himself like a veteran, the veteran that he is, and it because like I talked about this in Wrestling Night in America this past weekend with Greg, but I was really hoping they were building this to Heatwave or whatever the next PLE would be, um, and instead they obviously they did this here tonight. I'm completely fine with it. With the story that they gave us, I think it would have been nice to have a bit more of a build, maybe to get to this, to get to this, uh, get to the singles match for for the title. But at the same time, I think with the conviction that Ethan Page spoke with, um, and just kind of how I guess ruthless he's being. I'm all for it. It's like Trick Williams kind of just um, standing up and trying to defend the honor of NXT, if you will. So yeah, thumbs up for me, big time.
Sean says Page is good. He could have done way more in AEW, but they just have too big of a roster. And BJ adds, Ethan Page looked like a star tonight. Really great promo work and great angle. Yeah, I thought there was some pretty good fire there in the end of that. I thought it was kind of a diesel engine that bit at the end. The more he got going, the more convinced of himself he was, and the better the segment got. Bruce Lee Hazelwood is with us. We're talking main event segment. Ethan Page getting a championship match with Trick Williams. What did you think of this?
I only caught the last bit of that, but I don't have much to disagree with. I was excited last week when Page was introduced as the attacker, and along with some of the comments, I agree. He was massively underutilized in AEW. In Impact, like I said last week, he was given crappy things, and he still was one of the things you wanted to watch on Impact because of how well he would play his part and play his character. Saw that tonight with the conviction that Nate was discussing that he delivered in his promo, giving himself a mission statement, giving himself reasons why he's putting these things into his contract. And honestly, when it comes to contract negotiations, if you believe you've earned it and they're going to give it to you, might as well fight for it, right? So for him to go through all that and make it clear that he is getting placed on another level in terms of the perks he's being given for his contract, I think to the point of star making, it gives him a bit of an elevated level already in NXT because, again, in NXT, you don't really get this kind of perks, right? Even the champion is sharing a locker room most of the time with other people. So for Ethan Page to come in and justify his all ego nickname, justify why he's asking for all these things in the contract, we don't even know about all the things that he asked for. We just know about the stipulation being that his first match is going to be Sunday for the title. I like how this went down. I like how Ethan Page basically used the emotion and anger he felt from Trick Williams, as he discussed in the promo tonight, against him to get the perks he wanted and get that match for the title on Sunday. We did predict that after the attack, this match would be finalized this week. So got a 6-match card on Sunday, but it shouldn't. I hope it doesn't go too long. I won't even be watching it, but if I want to go back and watch it, I'll be at work on Sunday. But if for your sake, Kelly, I hope it's not too long. Though you do have several matches that are going to strain your fingers when you're going to type. But this is going to be a good match. Ethan Page in the ring is fun to watch. Those who haven't seen him, who aren't familiar with his style, who aren't familiar with his character work, I think tonight, not in terms of the in-ring, but tonight was a good indication of what you should expect moving forward, which is a top-notch promo in NXT, great character work. And then on Sunday, I think he's going to surprise a lot of people who haven't seen him before with what he can do in the ring.
Yeah, 6-person ladder matches are tough to recap. Triple threats are tough to recap, but this is a beefy triple threat outside of Wesley, so might not be as tough as some. BJ asks us, what was the end of the Trick era clause, though? If Trick loses, is he gone from NXT? I guess I just thought that this moment was Page editorializing. I think that's as simple as this was, that he was just kind of editorializing there. But I guess if they wanted to do something like that, they could. But I think they would have made it more black and white here on the Go Home show. If so. So yeah, let's go to that last match before this. A wild card match. I was glad that Vic called it out as such, because this is what they did at Survivor Series, I don't know, 95-ish, where they had faces and heels on the same side. Very bizarre thing that they did. It was Kelani, Jordynne, Lash Legend, and Fallon Henley versus Jaida Parker, Sol Ruca, and Michin. And the latter team wins when Ruca hits a real pretty soul snatcher on Legend springboard, while of course everything broke down. The self tags in this were fun. At one point, I think it was Lash set one of her partners out, maybe Kelani out on the apron. Just to
lifted her up and set her down.
Like, no, your time is done for now. Yeah, fun stuff here. And I think it's tough to promote ladder matches with all 6 people seeming like they have genuine chances to win. But I kind of think that's what they've done here between this and the segment earlier on where they were doing some banter and trash talk in the ring. But there were even more people involved because Jasmine Nix and JC Jane were watching from the ramp. We had damn near the whole women's roster out there at some point. So pretty good stuff here. Yeah, as for that match, mostly just a bunch of fun stuff happening, mostly just a bit of fan service, but I think that it got us where we're going. Bruce on that one.
Michin and Jaida Parker from the get-go was very fun to watch throughout the night. And then I wrote my report. By the way, my report is up at the Torch and on the VIP side. You can find me at B_253. I wrote in my report that after tonight, I'm expecting Michin and Jaida Parker to take each other out in some kind of move on Sunday. Maybe they're on top of a ladder and they go through the table on the outside. And then I think that Lash is going to end up taking out Kelani maybe with a choke slam from the ladder through a ladder set up across the ring on the announce table or something like that. With Sol Ruca winning tonight, if they go by how they usually do things, then she's probably not winning on Sunday, which makes Nate's prediction not accurate, which is a good thing. And it makes my prediction still in play with Fallon Henley. Although Fallon Henley did give me a bit of a scare earlier during that segment in the ring when they were talking and she said that championship was made for her. I was like, oh no, don't say that kind of stuff.
There's your red herring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but also I noted that during one of the commercial breaks, for me, maybe it's a local thing, but an NXT promo aired, and during the promo, there were several people highlighted, but the only 4 that had their names actually come up on the screen along a name graphic with them were Trick Williams, Obafemi, someone else that makes a lot of sense, and then Fallon Henley, right? Roxanne Perez as the champion, and then Fallon Henley was the 4th one. And so just kind of interesting that of those 4, you also include Fallon Henley, which then makes me think she is going to win on Sunday. And I've been saying that since the title was announced, not just the match, but the actual title was announced at, was it Vengeance Day when they announced the title was going to be?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. So I like how both segments tonight, how it was all set up, how people went through, they all got their lines in. I do think Kelani Jordynne maybe shouldn't try with the whole like Glani or whatever line she was doing. She sounded very much like a politician. And right now, just maybe not too much of that. Although she is the one with the weakest promo skills of the 6, I think. She is great in the ring, and she showed some of that tonight. That Soul Snatcher, I think it's the second time that Soul has done it off the second rope announce table side. I can't remember who the last person was that she did it to, but it is very nice. JC Jane doing her best Rip Hamilton impression tonight. Really, really, really gnarly face mask that she was wearing. So those of you who are fans of the Pistons from the mid-2000s, you would understand that reference. And all in all, I think that my thoughts from last week about having Michin in there as kind of the veteran presence was reasserted tonight by kind of how especially in the match, she kind of carried the storytelling with everything she was doing with Jaida Parker in the corner and everything that had led to the ending segment, right? So I think it's going to be a fun match. I don't think it'll be as wild as most of the ladder matches we're used to in NXT, so that might help you, Kelly. But I do think we're going to have 2 or 3 huge spots, and then Fallon Henley being the ones with the title.
Sean from Murfreesboro says, the Summit was very bad. I just don't like those segments. I did not think it was very bad, but I thought that it really is the exact kind of segment that highlights the weaknesses of some of the women here in this setting where they all are all trying to get better. Kelani is the weakest one on the mic. And that's too bad. Like during this, I was saying to my wife, who I roped into watching this one with me, I wish you could get Lash's voice inside that body of Kelani Jordynne. You'd really have something special, but Lash is doing it for herself right now anyway. But yeah, some real highs and lows when you throw 6 people in a developmental setting out there together. Nate, anything more on the ladder match hype?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole heck of a lot from what you guys have already said. I kind of echo a lot of what Bruce just said. I do feel like I feel like the finish was maybe a little overbooked, a little chaotic, but whatever. It is what it is. And the Summit was definitely a little, I don't know, a little, I guess something to be there was stuff to be I'm trying to left to be desired, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It was a little bit of a train wreck here and there, but it's fine. I'm still looking forward to the match. I think that I still kind of think Fallon Henley is probably going to wind up on top here. I think that kind of makes the most sense. I know, I was talking potentially Sol Ruca was my pick up until last week, and then I think I kind of started to flip a little bit more towards Fallon Henley, but still, as I mentioned, I was on Wrestling Night in America with Greg this past weekend, and I kind of was able to make a case for Fallon Henley, Sol Ruca, as well as Jaida Parker. I still don't think Jaida or Sol going to walk away. I think it is going to be Fallon Henley's title, but yeah, really looking forward to this. The build for it has been all right. I just really hope that this ladder match lives up to the first men's ladder match for the North American title. I think it will. I think there's a lot of good talent in there. Michin is certainly the ring veteran. So she's going to probably be directing traffic a little bit. But I still think this is going to probably wind up being my favorite match of the night. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that anyway.
At one point, Sol Ruca was facing peril, and both Michin and Jaida Parker were trying to tag in, and they were slapping the other's arm down because they wanted to be the one to go in. Michin rears back and spanks Jaida, and there was a reaction from a dude in the crowd that I hope it goes viral because
I didn't see it.
It was like a shocked Undertaker guy all over again. Ellis Mabah. That it was the guy just went, and I'm just for those listening later, just big open mouth, and the situation breaks down. Everybody's fighting, and I'm just watching that guy because he's still doing that, and he puts his hand over his mouth slowly, and he just keeps it there. He's still in disbelief at this spanking he's just seen. So, yeah, let's get that guy viral. That was a lot of fun. So, since we brought her name up, and we love saying her name, Jasmine Nix, she faced Thea Hale once again. Jasmine, I don't know why she's so talented, but she is. And she was like, get her a better name because, man, she's really bringing it in the ring. And she faces Thea Hale as Chase U is in disarray, which is a story that's been going on for about 3-4 years, I guess. A long time. Weird things afoot in that group.
They've been around for 3 or 4 years, but it feels like 3 or 4 years.
I think Bodie Hayward got out when the getting was good. He knew where things were headed. So Jasmine Nix over Thea Hale. I guess this was at a point of the show where Nate and I were desperately trying to figure out what was wrong with why we couldn't. It looked like we were not going to be able to have a show. Let's just leave it that way and not rehash it because it was real stressful for about an hour and a half. So Bruce, we're going to lean on you heavily for some of this early show stuff. Jasmine Nix over Thea Hale.
What's funny is this is also the one time during the show where the crowd is kind of dead. So the one thing is, Jasmine Nix has a ton of potential. We saw that in her very first match too, where she just came out like a house on fire and was just going around the ring, hitting kicks left and right. She seems to have some kind of background, maybe kickboxing and Muay Thai, where kicks are more involved, because she definitely has a very kick-based offense. But there were a couple moments during the match where you could see how green she is with her inexperience. A couple times she's really telegraphing what's coming next. And I do think that this is a match where if they came back to it in 6 months, it would be a lot better than it came off tonight. At least to me, having to do the report and watching and keeping that close eye on it. It seemed like there were just a couple bits of miscommunication and maybe not as much chemistry yet. But Jasmine Nix has a lot of potential moving forward. I mean, this is someone who she could be fast track from NXT up to Raw sometime, and I wouldn't be surprised about that just because of the potential she has and how much skill and athleticism she's already showing in the ring. Yes, she still has to get the psychology down. Yes, she still has to do a bit of more character work. She doesn't seem to be the best on promos, but that's always one of the things that people need to work on. But she still seems better than most of the average people right now, or most of the people on average in NXT. So I think there's a big future for her. Thea Hale continues to incrementally improve. At this point, though, I'm not sure if she's someone you should trust to lead matches with people who are less experienced than she is. But when she's in there with someone who's as experienced or has more experience than her, she tends to do pretty well.
Nate, how much of this did you see between bouts of trying to calm me down from my frantic state?
I know I had to try and play like armchair therapist. Like, it's going to be okay. No, to be honest with you, I don't really remember much of this match. It was on, but this was actually kind of the prime time where we were going back and forth with Wade trying to figure out what was going on with StreamYard, which is the platform we use to do the show now. So, we figured it out. But, what I will say, Thea Hale, like Bruce said, continuing to improve. She's one of my favorite parts of the show anytime she's on the show. So I'm like always happy to see her on TV and in a good role. And I kind of do echo what Bruce said. I don't know if she's necessarily somebody to lead a match as the ring general, as a veteran, if you will. But she also, I think it's just a matter of time, really, before she is able to do that. With her age and what she's able to have been accomplished already. I think she's really doing a bang up job. Jasmine Nix, same thing. I am impressed with her. I again do wish they gave her a different name, or at least spelled it without so many Y's.
Oh my God, typing it out is a pain. The Z, can't ever, that just
fingers just don't want to make Nix.
No.
I hear you.
Nix was a Greek or Roman goddess, but nobody has typed Nix since the days of Nix being a Greek or Roman goddess. So back on the typewriters several thousand years ago.
I did have a coworker named Nicholas who went by Nick NYK, which was weird, but that was the only time I think I've ever actually seen that before Jasmine Nix. So there we go.
He got he was taking liberties.
My reaction during Nate's discussion was because I think I found the guy Kelly was talking about, and I sense our group chat the tweet that it might be the guy, because literally when the slap happened, he fell over, and I'm hoping it's the same guy because it's hilarious. But sorry, just want to
No,
explain
totally
that.
fine, totally fine.
It's our video now.
I
People can see my reaction.
I didn't really have a whole heck of a lot more to add there. So instead, I'm going to. Oh, okay. Well, Kelly's back, but instead, what I was going to do is plug the fact that we will probably be recording an NXT Battleground post-show, the three of us, that will be available at PWTorch.
Two
Sorry,
of you.
or the two of us will. Bruce is working. That's right.
Possibly one of you and someone else, because I might be doing Wrestling Night in America. The point is, there'll be a show.
There will be a show. There will be a show. And if you would like to see the show or watch or listen to the show, it won't be on YouTube. Feel free via PWTorch VIP, go VIP, and there's a whole bunch of different shows you can check out, as well as the
Kelly,
audio
they cut your
version.
face off.
They did. Yeah, they did a little bit.
Oh.
You get Tom in there. Tom's in there, no problem. Tom, I miss you, buddy.
They Mike
but you know,
Wazowski'd me.
but yeah, plenty of shows to check out, including the audio version of this show. If you want to listen to this show without seeing all of our ugly faces, other shows on the PWTorch Daily Cast you can check out as well. So there we go. Got the plug in.
Well done. There was only one men's match on this show. It was the crossover match, Tony D'Angelo versus Damon Kemp. They wanted a 2-0 finish because they don't do very many of those, but they almost, I'm sorry, Steve Repsher hits us with Jasmine is almost in Buy a Vowel neighborhood. Thank you, Steve. I wish I had written that first. Anyway, Tony D'Angelo beats Damon Kemp 2-0. D'Angelo gets his 2-0 win, but Damon Kemp gets a visual pin that does not count, that wouldn't even have won him the match. So why do it? I guess they wanted to have their cake and eat it too. Whatever. These two factions are still feuding, and it seems like it's not over. I'm not sure about that. So I don't know. This match was kind of okay. This was the first one I was able to see in its entirety. Damon Kemp still does not really do it for me, I guess. And Tony D was never, I don't know what role I think he should be in, but I thought kind of a heel that slowed things down made more sense, but then he kind of was getting it. I think he should be a tag teamer. That's, I think, where I'm going to land. But at any rate, I love Heritage Cup matches, and even a bad one, I really like. So there you go. Bruce, anything on the Heritage Cup match?
You know, I might be stealing some of Nate's thunder here, but Nate used to make the critique, maybe not complaint, but the critique that not enough of these matches ended 2-0. And here we get the 2-0, as you said, maybe with the visual pin for Damon Kemp. But I do like some of these abrupt endings. I'm not the biggest fan of, but I like this one because it came off the heels of him almost getting that visual pin, almost getting to tie the match up, and then being overzealous, overconfident, and running straight into one of my favorite moves, which is that one-armed, huge Ron Simmons style spine buster. And D'Angelo does a good job of making it look impactful and making it think that it would end the match. So I like that. I like how they weren't afraid to just have someone eat a finisher early on in the match in the first round and give D'Angelo the lead right away. I understand it's Damon Kemp, but at least they still took that risk. And, I don't think no one's opinion of Damon Kemp is going to go lower than it already was, so it's not a big deal here. But in the future, it's still not a bad idea to just, I would say too often in Heritage Cup matches, these early pins are more flash pins or leverage pins, and having a finisher or something more with more impact, like the spine buster becoming a fall in these matches, is better overall for not just the match, but in the long term for the Heritage Cup itself. I guess the one thing I don't like about this, being someone that does the recaps and like seeing every bit of it, is a Heritage Cup match on NXT TV is always, always, always going to have a commercial break. during the match. Usually it's between either rounds 2 and 3 or rounds 3 and 4, but here they did it between rounds 1 and 2. I missed the entire second round because with the web player that USA uses, you don't get the split screen break. You only get a full screen break. So when it came back, I only was able to see the very beginning of round 3, and they showed the end. They showed in the replay after the round began about how they were brawling after the bell for round 2. So that's my quip or my quibble with the match is that these matches in general on TV always have a commercial break, and I lose an entire round generally, which doesn't help with the flow of the match or getting into the storyline for the match. The other issue I don't think it's an issue necessarily, just that still seems really awkward to have Tony D'Angelo holding the Heritage Cup.
Yep.
And I guess to tie it back in, the segment earlier in the night where Charlie Dempsey is talking in the mirror in the weight room, trying to sound and act like Tony D'Angelo, and then Miles Bourne comes up, and then Damon Kemp comes up, and Damon Kemp even mentions, "You don't find it weird that we're having a conversation through the mirror?" And oh my gosh, sorry. And then Dempsey kind of still playing it off and just trying to get them to say capiche, and kept finally saying it. I don't know if they're trying to go the comedic route with NQCC. I would strongly advise against that, and I would just make them go back to being serious. Maybe this is just one of those growing pains or finding yourself moments for Charlie Dempsey. I wasn't a big fan of them trying to make it. It just felt more comedic than it needed to be, in my opinion, and I wasn't a fan of that. It does seem like Damon Kemp is not long for the group, but if Damon Kemp leaves, who are they going to add to the group? Is it just going to be the two of them? If it's 2 people, can you really call it a crew? Isn't it just a duo? Maybe I'm being too technical with the semantics here, but these are just the thoughts that go through my head when I'm doing the report and watching the show, people.
BJ says, I just like having the Heritage Cup on NXT, the last remains of NXT UK, which I loved. Yeah, I was an NXT UK completist. I saw every episode. So it was, and the Heritage Cup really was one of my favorite things about it. So there you go. Steve Repshire adds, I like the cup, but I can see how it might be hard to find a fair amount of wrestlers for whom it really fits. And I think that's true. And as more guys that don't feel like they fit start to win it, then it'll start to seem like everybody can essentially fit, I think.
Yeah.
So there you go. Nate, anything else on this song? It wasn't a song, it was a match.
I mean,
this one doesn't
yes.
qualify as a song. It was not as musical as other matches on the show. Oh
my God. So yeah, no, I mean, I again echo a lot of what you guys have already said. Wasn't necessarily my favorite Heritage Cup match of all time, but it was still an enjoyable match. I really liked the Heritage Cup format. And kind of the rounds and everything. It just makes it a little bit. I mean, it's different than what we're used to seeing on everyday TV. So I am a fan of that. Tony D'Angelo being the cup holder, I kind of agree with you guys. And I'm trying to find somebody said it. Oh, Sean said it. I'm going to put that up here right now. What do you guys think about Tony is having the Heritage Cup? And like I kind of agree. It does not feel like he's the one, or he's somebody that should necessarily hold the cup. It's generally been for kind of a more of a grappler, and things like that. Tony D'Angelo definitely has that background as an amateur wrestler and things, which we have seen him start to bring out a little bit more in his offense. Something that Bruce was really wanted to see out of Tony D'Angelo for quite a while. I think for a while now. So so definitely glad to see that. So in a way, it kind of makes sense if you know his background, but at the same time, considering his current character, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily feel like it fits, but I am kind of okay with that, because I mean, like, there have been times, and I'm trying to think of an example, but I know there were times where somebody was wearing a belt. I mean, like Jinder Mahal when he was champion, it didn't necessarily seem like it was going to fit. I may have not necessarily liked his run as champion. I don't remember if you guys did or not. WWE champion.
Definitely did.
You did?
Look at
I
Nate
did.
hindering
I'm
gender.
I'm nutty.
Yep.
Yep.
But
Mhm.
again, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean that most people, most people did seem to enjoy it. There was a lot of people don't hinder gender and all of that. So sometimes it can certainly seem like somebody doesn't necessarily feel like they should be holding a particular title, winning a King of the Ring, winning a Royal Rumble, or something like that. But then it works, and I think like Kelly said, the more people that win this that doesn't feel like they should win the title or win the cup, considering kind of its heritage, pun kind of intended, from NXT UK. I think the more it'll feel kind of just like uh, I don't know, anybody could necessarily win. Anybody could win it. Um, definitely, definitely a fan of Heritage Cup. Um, Damon Kemp, not necessarily so much. He definitely doing a better job than his brother did, that's for sure. Who already has found his way in and out of the WWE system with like so many starts and no many, so many starts and stops and never really took off. So I got to give him credit at least there where credit's due. But yeah, I almost would like to see him out of the no quarter catch crew
I
and
like to see
see
him out of
Charlie
NXT.
Dempsey. Well, or that. I don't want anybody. I don't want to like wish somebody to lose their job.
I'm just
So
saying out of NXT. He
I
can go to Raw. He can go to SmackDown. Whatever.
all right,
That's
okay,
just-
all right. There we go. We'll go with that. Um, but uh, but yeah, I almost wish that they would find another couple of members of No Quarter Catch Crew. Charlie Dempsey seems to certainly fit. Miles Bourne seems to fit. But Damon Kemp, I don't know, just something about him. Something about the character, not him, but the character, isn't really resonating with me either. So,
You know who
yeah,
they should add after they take out Kemp?
who's
Hank
that?
and Tank. And turn Hank and Tank into some mean, vicious former football players or whatever they were.
I just went from absolutely hating it to loving it in a matter of about 3 seconds. I don't dislike that.
Sean said, I couldn't stand Jinder's reign. No offense to him. Let me tell you what I liked about it. It ended a Randy Orton reign. That I just Randy Orton has
That backlash
rarely
six pack,
had an interesting championship reign. And I'm not hindering Randy. I actually really like. I actually think he's doing some of his best stuff right now.
Yeah.
So at this advanced age, and I've been watching him since he was like 19. And otherwise, my favorite run he had was probably IC Champ in 2004. But yes, ending one of his reigns, probably was part of it. So yeah, that's that. Rob
I do
Stone,
like
he was somebody. Okay, go ahead.
before we get there, I do I just want to bring this up. BJ said Nathan Frazier should be a no quarter catch crew, and I like that idea as well. Nathan Frazier and Axiom haven't really been. I don't know. I haven't really been digging the team.
Well, they're
But
heels
Nathan
anyway.
Frazier's, yeah, right. But I think Nathan Frazier as part of no quarter catch crew could be really, really cool.
I don't know, something about the group being three guys. It's weird how you can just feel that there's something missing, and it was the person who was doing most of the talking. So Charlie Dempsey had to be kind of fast tracked. So there is still kind of a strange feel to that group.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do that next, Rob Stone. I was going to do Jordynne Grace next. She opened this show against Stevie Turner. I loved Stevie Turner's pre-injury character she was doing as a streamer who just had bad things to say about the women in the division. I really dug that a lot. And she looks so different now. I don't think I would have actually known it was her without the benefit of her name being on the screen.
That was so, last week.
Yeah, I don't know if she looks like creator wrestler, because that's going a bit far, but I don't know. At any rate, Stevie Turner did complain to Ava later, said it's not fair that I was in there with with Jordynne Grace. Jordynne also got a scene with much of the women's division. Basically, just got to meet everyone from Michin. Well, she knew Michin, and that was how that started. That's how that got started. Saw Ruca, Jaida Parker. You know what? They're just putting Jaida Parker in any scene, and
Smart.
I'm about it. I'm about
Smart.
it.
Very smart.
Ariana Grace, who helpfully pointed out to Jordynne that they had the same last name.
But they're not related.
They're not. She helped her out with that too. And then Tatum Paxley being a weirdo. Sean says Jordynne looked great. Match was fun. Yeah, a quickie, but a really strong opener, I thought, to establish Jordynne further for the many, many fans watching who will not know who she is. Bruce, I've thrown to you first a lot, but I have to do it again because I know you love Jordynne Grace.
Yes, back when I was still watching Impact regularly, she was one of the reasons I would watch. This is back when she was still young in her time in Impact too, but you just knew that there was something about her. And tonight, I mean, she's continued to just be one of the basically stalwarts and drawing cards of Impact. Well, now it's TNA again. When it was Impact, and part of that is she's just so different, right? So last week with Nate, I mentioned that while Jordynne Grace is muscular, she's not tall. She's not big in that, right? And Stevie Turner is someone who is taller than she is. And you saw that tonight. She's a full head taller than Jordynne Grace. But I think that also accentuated Jordynne Grace's power offense because she's taking someone who seems that much taller than her and bigger than her and throwing her around pretty easily, right? So the muscularity of Jordynne Grace really stands out in comparison even to Stevie Turner in her height, because just there doesn't seem to be any bit of fat on her body at all. She probably has more muscle in her pinky than I do in my whole body, and I don't have any muscle on my body, so that's not a hard thing to accomplish, right? So she looked good here. Power offense was good. Charisma was great. Crowd was really into her. Character was good. Her backstage interaction with Michin and the rest of the women was great too. And when Tatum Paxley brought up how titles are important to her or precious to her, Jordynne Grace was like, yeah, me too. Talked about how that's the most important thing for her, right? So part of me wonders if this is going to lead to maybe after Sunday, are we going to have someone like Tatum Paxley show up on Impact and do something? Maybe, I mean, with her character, you could throw in a handful of people on TNA that have sort of matching personalities, right? You could look at someone like Rosemary. If Su Young's still doing work right now with Impact, I'm not sure what her contract situation is, but you have Su Young available. So, and Impact is known for doing a lot of spooky segments, non-traditional wrestling segments, I guess. So it wouldn't be too far to have Tatum Paxley go over there. I think Tatum Paxley is someone you could send over and return the favors to Impact and not have, Paxley really lose anything. So I really like how this was laid out. I really like just getting that brief glimpse of what Jordynne Grace can do and saving that for Roxanne Perez. I really do appreciate how Roxanne Perez showed no intimidation tonight, showed no fear as it came to standing right up to Jordynne Grace, went after her. She did escape the Juggernaut driver and slid out the ring, but up until that point, this is the thing about Roxanne Perez as a champion, as a heel champion that I have liked and I keep talking about. Doesn't matter who it is, no matter how big they are, how strong they are, how powerful, quick, whatever. She goes straight up to their face and punching them right there, and that's fine. And she doesn't care who you are. She thinks she's better than you. She's going to win. And you need that kind of a delusion for a heel champion. You need that kind of a delusion to be a champion, really, in a lot of places. So I really do like the evolution of Roxanne Perez as a heel, how much character growth she's shown, both in the ring. I mean, immediately in the ring, we talked about how, and I brought up Seth Rollins has never made that change. But in her first match as a heel, what was she doing? Limb work, working the limbs, working the arm, doing all the heel stuff in the ring so quickly, making the adjustment right away, and not even needing a period for her to adjust to being a heel now. And then her promos on the mic, I feel like she's just really grown so much since coming back and turning heel. And if after Stand and Deliver season in 2024, or it's 2024, in 2025, if she's still on NXT, I will be very, very surprised, because with as much growth as she's shown and how much talent she still has to grow into, I feel like that's something they need to have on SmackDown and really work that story with her.
Sean says, is there any chance she stays in NXT and wins the title from Roxanne, she being Jordynne Grace? You know, given the working relationship, I'm going to say there's a non-zero chance that this happens. In normal times, in the times when I grew up, which were big K-Babe times, back in the olden days, folks, that would
way
not have
back in
happened.
the day when wrestling was presented in black and white.
Right.
It was actually the 80s before you and I were even born.
Yeah. Okay.
There's
Guys.
that.
Okay.
Considering Bruce and I are about 10 years younger than you, Kelly.
Yeah. Let's not consider that anymore. Any chance that she stays in NXT? I think she'll be around for a bit and we'll be doing stuff there. If she wins the title from Roxy, I hope that it's not here in this first match and they add some sizzle to that steak and keep making it, continue building that to the point where they can do it and it's a bigger deal. So yeah,
it's gonna be Julia.
Yeah, it is. It is going to be Julia. So
Yeah, for sure.
But you could have
Sean,
Julia
I'm
beat
sorry.
Jordynne Grace,
Yeah.
and I mean, because damn, Nate on this opener.
Yeah, so I big fan of Jordynne Grace so far. I mean, like like I said last week, I haven't been, I don't really keep up with TNA or anything like that. I think I probably watched about a dozen episodes of Impact in my life, but seeing Jordynne Grace in the ring tonight in a singles match, as short as it was, like damn, just absolutely impressive. Every time I see her too, I'm just blown away with her physique. I mean, she just looks absolutely incredible, just a monster in the ring. I really like the fact that she like Bruce was saying, or I think it was Bruce was saying it that she's just throwing Stevie Turner around. Um, Somebody that is a little bit taller than her. I think she really she's showing why she's the one that both TNA and WWE are have faith in to kind of be in this particular spot. The backstage segments that she was in, again, she felt very natural, like she knew the WWE style. Obviously TNA they've got backstage segments and things too, but this it just felt like she was at home. It didn't feel like she was an outsider in the NXT bubble. She felt like she belonged there. So big props to her for being able to pull that off. As far as Sean mentioned that in our chat that is there a chance that she might win the title? I completely agree with Kelly. I think it's a non-zero chance. I still give the if I needed to put money on it or something like that, I'd still put money on Roxanne Perez. But in this new Triple H era, who knows? Like they with Vince, you could kind of predict the things that you knew Vince didn't like, that he kind of was against and things like that. Now I mean, I feel like this opens the door for so many different opportunities, not for just collaboration with TNA. I mean, who knows? We may see collaboration with New Japan or even AEW. Who knows? Um, I, I I think that's a good thing for wrestling in general. Um, you know, Competition's always good, but I feel like wrestling is such a niche bubble, right? Like not everybody's a wrestling fan. I mean, think about, people who are listening, think about the people in your life. How many of them are actually wrestling fans, right? I have two or three that, I talk to on a regular basis. And that's probably more than most people. So the fact that WWE has now opened the door to work with other promotions, it's just going to elevate the other promotions. It's going to elevate these stars that may not be under WWE contract, but could be someday. I just think this is a good thing overall for the industry. WWE was always like, nope, if it didn't happen in WWE, it didn't happen. It's not part of, the WWE universe. I was going to say part of the universe, but part of the WWE universe. But now I mean, who knows? Who knows what could happen? I would like in my head, I would love to see Jordynne Grace win and then show up on Impact with the NXT title, and then have Roxanne Perez come out on Impact and set up a match for Heatwave, or heck, maybe even set up a match in TNA, for the championship, something like that. There's so many different possibilities they could go, in directions they could go. Rather, I'm. It's it's an exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Let's put it that way. I did not think we would ever see a TNA contracted wrestler in a WWE ring in a singles match. I didn't think we'd see it when Mickie James showed up as Knockouts champion a few years ago at the Rumble, but I never thought I'd see this.
Insofar as knowing other wrestling fans in your regular life, only a small, not even a handful of my friends, but I am the general manager of a collectible shop. And one of the things we sell, among many others, is pro wrestling cards from Prism and Upper Deck and such like that. So I see a lot of wrestling fans. And as you know, if you've been to shows, they're a mixed bag. But I got one weird situation a couple of weeks ago where a guy came in, he heard me talking, and he said, "Are you Kelly Wells from PWT Talks NXT?" It's the only time it's ever happened to me, and once is way more times than I ever thought it was going to happen. And I was like, "Yeah, I am." And he just stared at me. And I'm just thinking inwardly, what do I do now? Like,
He was secretly plotting your murder.
I wasn't
Yeah, right.
expecting it. And he was like, I'll take a box of the AEW 2024 cards.
Oh,
I was like, cool. And he couldn't figure, he had no idea what else to say.
I hope he's listening. I hope he's listening.
I hope he is too. Because I explained that situation to, I kind of told it front to back, so he'll know that it was him.
I was sitting at work one day, and I just had a coworker run up to me, and he's like, "Do you do wrestling podcasting?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "I'm listening to you right now." That was weird. It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, a couple of my friends have done that, but they had told me they were going to check it out.
Since you brought up AEW, those of you with PS Plus, PlayStation Plus, it's one of the free games this month. It's not worth it.
No.
Moving on.
Ooh, free not being the right price. Never a good sign. Let's go to emails and then do a little cleanup on whatever we haven't talked about on the show. This comes from JB from Detroit. Number one, it looks like we might be getting a darker version of Wendy Chu returning next week, which is something I can get behind. I just hope by darker, it's just a character with an edge and not some supernatural mumbo jumbo. I would take supernatural mumbo jumbo over what she did the first time she had her run. And how much darker can she be? She was like the most heelish person on the roster. Like everything she did made her look like the bad one. I love her in the ring. Like I really, really like her in the ring. I don't know. Narcolepsy for me, not a gimmick that works as a wrestler. Number two, with the recent TNA connections of Jordynne Grace and Ethan Page, and with news of multiple cuts within TNA's front office in Anthem, could there be any truth to the rumor that WWE has interest in acquiring TNA? Assuming that is true, what role would TNA play in the WWE ecosystem? I doubt it. I'll let you guys handle that one. Number three, Ethan Page isn't exactly a spring chicken in terms of pro wrestling. What do you think his ceiling is in NXT, and is he long for NXT? Is he more than likely to get this one main event push, then stick around NXT / the Performance Center as a player coach, or does he possibly have a main roster run in him? As always, love the show and go VIP. I think an extremely good comparison for Ethan Page would have to be Bobby Roode. They even kind of look like each other. Now, Bobby Roode had a much stronger run and a much more sustained push than Paige did elsewhere in other companies. And Roode is still there. He's working as I don't know if it's a road agent, producer. He's there. He's still in the company. But yeah, Ethan Page is somebody who could stick around in this role if they want him in this role. Main roster run, sure, but I think there's a hard cap on that main roster run unless he really, really, really makes waves in a short amount of time. Because, as you said, he doesn't have a long time to impress. Nate on JB's email.
So Wendy Chu, I mean, I don't know. I guess she's returning. That's cool. Not a huge fan of the gimmick. She started to win me over a little bit before she got injured. I'm not gonna lie. But I still, you know, and we've all talked about this many times in the show. There's a ceiling for, as Kelly put it, a narcoleptic character. You know, I don't see her ever winning a WWE title with that character. And if it is, you know, if she does, it's not going to be a strong run. You know, if they did want to do some sort of a supernatural thing, bring back what was her name in Tian Sha? I forget.
Mei Ying.
Mei Ying, thank you. Bring back Mei Ying, you know, or something along those lines. But you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when she re-debuts. I'm kind of hoping they almost Emelina, the Wendy Chu character. Like, you know, she re-debuts as Wendy Chu, and the whole sleepy thing is kind of put to bed. I did not mean that as a pun. That's how it came out. So yeah. In terms of the TNA connections, and you know, WWE potentially acquiring TNA, you know, I've seen people talking about it. I haven't seen anything that would even remotely confirm the fact that WWE is interested in TNA. But you know, let's say it happens and WWE does acquire TNA. I'm sure it would be kind of something along the lines of WCW in terms of them buying it for the IP, buying it for the tape library. You know, maybe buying out some of the contracts or something. I'm not saying they're going to do an invasion angle, but I think in terms of the business reasons, I think that's what it would be for. I don't know if they would really keep the TNA brand alive. You know, they may put, you know, the tape library or something on the network.
They
Or
wouldn't
keep,
call it TNA, that's for sure.
no, that's for sure. But you know, I mean, heck, in my mind, I hear TNA and I still think of Test and Albert, which is weird because that was a short-lived tag team anyway.
That's what people think about. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, that's absolutely what people think about, right? I know, or just Trish Stratus, or well, anyway. But moving on. So yeah, I don't think they would actually like put any, you know, put a show together for TNA or make it like a developmental system for the developmental system or whatever. I think it would really be for the tape library, for the IP, and for a handful of contracts, you know, that they could add to their roster. In terms of Ethan Page, no, he's not a spring chicken in terms of pro wrestling, but I am 2 years older than he is, so that's a, I don't like saying that sentence, but whatever. I think his ceiling in NXT right now is probably about as high as it can go, considering the push they're giving him. You know, I don't think this is going to be a Lexis King type of a thing where, you know, Lexis King comes in with a lot of pomp and circumstance and then kind of just is now on the roster. I think I think with the push they're giving him and with the way he spoke tonight in the ring, like you were talking about earlier tonight, that conviction that he had in the ring during that promo, I could see him being a top player in NXT. Once he gets to the main roster, that could be a different story. But in terms of NXT, I kind of see him up in that main event level scene.
Bruce, anything on that email?
I'll do Wendy Chu last. The selling or acquisition of TNA Impact by WWE, can't put it past them. It's what they've done with different companies in the past. But I'm not sure if like, their max viewers is what, like 20, 30,000 K a week. I don't know if that's worth it to them. Like Nate said, the video library is something that they could probably. It's probably the reason they'd want to buy it, because a lot of the wrestlers have also gone through TNA or Impact during its time. In a sense, you go back to Nate earlier talking about how the women's ladder match is hoping reaches the level of the first men's ladder match. I think it's a bit apples to oranges, because the people in the men's match were veterans who had been around for, some of them, double-digit years. Some of them had gone through TNA. Most of them went through ROH. So I feel like they should have bought ROH instead of Tony Khan, maybe. Then again, there is a stronger connection for wrestlers in WWE who went to TNA now than with ROH as is. So you could do that. I don't think it's likely. I don't think it's something that is even in discussion, but we've been surprised before, right? Again, I don't pay attention to the sheets unless someone sends me something. So I don't know if there's been any reports of any discussions, and that's why the discussion, or that's why the question was brought to us tonight. But I would hedge a bet against the acquisition of TNA by WWE. When it comes to Ethan Page, I think I'm higher on him than the two of you. As Kelly said, he doesn't have the success of Bobby Roode coming into NXT. Bobby Roode is a former world champion in TNA, multiple-time tag team champion, one of the highest grossing acts with Beer Money in TNA. I think Beer Money actually might still be the biggest merchandise seller in TNA history. I could be wrong, but I think that's accurate because of how popular they just were as an act with the fans. And as much as Wade would complain about how they would waste so much time during matches to do their whole Beer Money taunt, it worked for the fans. It worked for their money. They still won championships. So I think for me, Ethan Page is someone who I see more potential in him, because I've seen him take characters that were written to be terrible and still make them watchable, still make you want to see him in that role. I think he's also better in the ring than some might give him credit for. And just because you're in your 30s doesn't necessarily mean that you won't get pushed. You do have less of a time to make that sort of an impact. True. But we have seen wrestlers in the past who have been later in life, later in their careers. I mean, DDP is always one people turn to, who have made an impact. I mean, Mark Henry came over. He didn't really start hitting a stride till his 30s, right? So you have people where even if you get them earlier in life, they might not have been ready for that spot yet. I think right now is a good time for Ethan Page. As someone said earlier in the chat, he's hungry. He knows he's been underutilized. He brought it up tonight. He could have sat the last 2 years on his ass and collected a paycheck, and he was trying to work the entire time, right? So I think just with that hunger, his promo skills and his character work, he does have more potential. And I feel like if he does go to Raw or SmackDown, we kind of brought up last week that he probably has a ceiling of a Miz character, but Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. Miz has gone to the Hall of Fame. So even if you're on the Miz level, you're probably going to win a title or two. It might not be the top title, but you're probably going to win a tag title or a secondary title. And if that's your ceiling on the main roster, I still think that's something you want to take, because that also means more money in your bank account, right? Now, when it comes to Wendy Chu, yes, Beer Money, exactly. You can't doubt the power of Beer Money and how strong that act held over the fans in TNA. And so when it comes to Wendy Chu, I think I actually have a question for Kelly, and that is, the entire time with these vignettes, it made it seem like she was coming back with her old gimmick. How do you feel seeing that it's not necessarily going to be the same kind of gimmick with how much you despised her sleepy gimmick beforehand?
When you hear the glass, it's your ass. So, as you said in our chat, Stone Cold Wendy Chu. So, yeah, the glass breaking, yeah, something different in the mirror or shattering the glass ceiling or whatever it is. Yes, there's an angle here. Let's hope. So she just posted a picture of her in her old gear last week, but that could have been a red herring.
Well, that leads me to my next point, which is you don't have to go Mei Ying. You don't have to go Wendy Chu. I think when she was in the first Mae Young tournament, I believe. The first one, not the second one. But she went under Karen Q. I'm pretty sure, which was her name in ROH and on the Independents. Just have her go back here in Q. Why not? Right? Or you could, I guess, come up with a different name. From what I've been seeing lately, apparently the names are actually more of a wrestler-driven conception than production and creative. From what has been told to the sheets that has been sent to me, because we talk about how bad the names are so much. So take that as you will, but you could rename her. I just think the easiest way, go by Karen Q. Let it go from there.
All right, Sean says in the chat, the Shayna Lola video package was really strong. I like Lola tons, but it makes me realize how they truly ruined Shayna on the main roster. Just my thought. He continues, does Shayna have any chance of winning? I doubt it, but just curious of your thought. I'm going to go ahead and say that Shayna's got a 100% chance of winning. I think she's definitely winning this, and Lola's victory is going to be in the form of hanging with her. I think that this is the very definition of a reclamation project here. This what's happening with Shayna Baszler. There were some wrestlers so damaged that that Triple H really liked that they couldn't save. And there were some that, like Shayna, there's still time to save. And so that's why she even said, you're going to see the Queen of Spades again. And it seems like everybody forgot that I could just break people when I want to. I think she is 100% absolutely winning this match, but Lola's win is in the form of hanging with her. Bruce, seems like you agree.
Yeah, I don't think Vice is winning this one. I see your scenario playing out. I also think this could be a situation where Baszler gets the victory here. They write Vice off TV. She re-debuts on wherever Shayna's gonna be, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, and restarts the feud from there. I'm expecting on a different show, right? This is a type of match where you could write someone out like that. The last time we saw Eddie Thorpe, I'm pretty sure, was an underground match. He won, and he's still been out. Right? We're finally getting the return vignettes last week and this week. So this is the type of match you can do it in. And as I showed you in the, I think I sent this in our group chat earlier. Someone sent me a Fightful Select report that there have been talks of using the Octagon for the underground match. And I have been advocating for this since the match was announced. You have the opportunity. Take a risk. Let them use it. It also helps that, hey, both of these women have fought in mixed martial arts before in a cage. They understand what it's like to do that. And if you're going to trust people to do a work shoot, it would be these two, right? They have the experience. Shayna Baszler was just in Bloodsport, after all, a couple months ago during WrestleMania weekend too, right? So I really hope they go through with it and go into the Octagon and use that to their advantage. It doesn't even matter if you want to record it beforehand and then show it during some kind of change over the ladder match. Whatever, just use the Octagon to your advantage. I agree that the video tonight was very strong. It really sold the highlights and the strong points of both women, and they stayed true to the character, right? Lola Vice was intense, but still talked about how she got on dance the entire time. She's even been posting videos of her from her MMA days where she would dance after getting knockouts or TKOs. The same exact dance that she does in NXT. Baszler, it was such a refreshing wave to see those highlights of her in black and gold, just dominating people, stomping arms. Poor Dakota Kai, that saga of her just building up the courage to finally stand up to the big bad bully of Shayna Baszler. If you didn't like Dakota Kai before, that was when she really won you over. Of course, we all loved her well beforehand, Kelly being the biggest one here. But it was just really great to see all that. And this is when she was ruined. You have her run through everybody in the Elimination Chamber, and then she just lose to Becky like that at the COVID WrestleMania, right? That's where she was ruined. Like, she literally ran through, was it WrestleMania or was it in the Elimination Chamber where she ran through everyone? Whatever. She ran through everybody in the Elimination Chamber, and then they did nothing with it after. Kept her in a tag team with Nia Jax. Have her winning the Women's Tag Team Champion. Fine. Whatever. That did nothing for her. And too many times in that partnership, she was the one taking losses. She was the one getting the worst of these angles. My only hope is that since she's coming back, bring back her old music. Please bring back her old music.
Yes.
Nate, yeah, go ahead.
So I
Sean is
am
correct.
I'm hoping that Shayna does win, and this is a reclamation project for Shayna. I'm not convinced it's the case. I kind of think that this is a way to try and push Lola Vice. Not that Shayna winning wouldn't necessarily push Lola Vice. They could certainly tell that story, which you guys did. You guys laid out. Um, but I don't know. We've talked about on the show. The underground match being, potentially being like Lola's match, and I'm I'm thinking Shayna's going to have a very strong outing, but I kind of I'm really torn. Like I'm 49%, 51%, like on Shayna winning or sorry, Lola winning or losing. Um, so yeah, like I said, I do kind of think that it's probably going to be Lola winning. I'm I'm also I'm not against them using the octagon. Like again, I talked about this on Wrestling Night in America. I'm not against them using the octagon. I just think it's even with two experienced shoot fighters, I think it's going to be hard for them to pull off a worked shoot match in an octagon in 2024. Whenever people watch UFC, you're used to, and as a match or a UFC match progresses, you're used to seeing, blood, people's faces get knocked in, swelling and all this stuff. And you're not going to see that in the WWE environment. So I just think it's be hard for them to pull off a believable match in the octagon. I could be completely wrong. It's not like that's ever happened before, right? I could be completely wrong, but I I just think it'd be hard for them to pull off. I applaud them for trying something different if that is the direction that they wanted to go. And like I said, I'm not against it. I just think it's going to be a hard angle for them to pull off. Um, as far as the video package tonight went, it really brought back some nostalgia for Shayna Baszler and NXT. Um, it was before I was on the show, before Bruce was on the show, when Shayna Baszler was doing that. But my God, she was such a powerhouse in NXT back in the day, back in the black and gold era. She she absolutely had it. And the minute for me that she was kind of defined down on the main roster was when she bit Becky Lynch and had all the blood coming out of her mouth. Like right there, I was like, no, what are you doing? And it went up before it went downhill, but it really kind of just went downhill from there as far as I'm concerned. Um, so yeah, I think those are my 2 cents anyway.
All right, let's go to our other email. If I can remember how to open email. Kevin Catani says, salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. Firstly, thank you for your concern last week. It appears my son has made a full recovery, and once we're done with the antibiotic, we should be good to go. That said, whew, what an overrun, eh? As I didn't not follow Ethan Page all that well while he was in AEW. I don't think that double negative was intentional. I'm interested to see what he's about this weekend. Nothing like a championship match to prove your worth. I thought tonight's episode was a busy one. I loved the Obafemi segment. The 6-woman tag match left me intrigued for Sunday's ladder match, and it was awesome to see Jordynne Grace wrestle a full match despite her opponent's obvious shortcomings. That said, I have 2 questions. Number 1, does Shayna put Lola over? Do we see the reemergence of the Black and Gold Killer? The latter. And 2, who is your obvious pick and your dark horse pick for the women's ladder match? Thanks as always. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. Office hours are now over. The Professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. Yeah, your obvious winner is Fallon Henley. My dark horse winner is Michin. She never got to win any championships when she was there, and seemed like she was just kind of there at a time where she was stuck behind a handful of people. So yeah, I think that Michin actually has a chance here to win a championship she never got to hold. And with this being the North American Championship. They may want like a legacy, handful of years ago, act to maybe open up with this thing. So I guess those are my answers. And Kevin, for anyone who does not know this, I met Kevin and hung out with him in real life, and I am very, very thrilled to hear the good news. Bruce.
Yeah, real quickly, going back to Nate talking about Shayna, her run and her dominance and that connection is what made Rhea Ripley finally dethroning her such a huge moment in NXT, and why they rushed the ring and why Tom was in the ring with her, right? I would be remiss to say and not needle my fellow PhD here. You're not going to edit your emails? We always get mad at all these students for their mess ups in their writing, and you're going to just send an email willy-nilly like that, Professor? I'm so disappointed in my fellow PhD. Just because I never, ever, ever make typos or errors in my written reports and my emails. Never. Just no one go back and look. I never do any of that, right? Just trust me on that one. So we talked about Baszler, and now I forgot what the second question was because I spent so much time making sure that I needled Kevin Catani about his.
Who's your obvious pick? Pick and dark horse pick for the ladder match?
The two names you said, Kelly, were the two names I chose last week, and I chose Michin for a similar reason, that she would be someone as the veteran that you could, because we anticipate this being a workhorse title. She is someone you can trust having those types of matches and holding the title in esteem for a bit. I still think the obvious is Fallon Henley. To go with a different dark horse pick, so I'm not also picking Michin, I think Lash Legend, especially if they had the little thing with Trick saying it's over today. But if they still want to go back and make that a thing, I think having both of them be champion, or at least one of them be champion, is a good call. So I think Lash is my dark horse pick, aside from Michin, because Kelly already said that.
And as far as I'm concerned, we were just talking about Shayna and Lola, so you kind of got my thoughts there. I am hoping Shayna wins, but I'm not super confident that that's going to be the outcome. But we'll see. And then the obvious pick for me, Fallon Henley, the dark horse. I feel like Lash Legend for me, but I'm also Sol Ruca. It's kind of a tie. Sol, she's just got there's something about her that I think a lot of fans would latch onto as champion. If we're able to get her some more mic time and things like that, I don't know. I think it'd be a cool run. I don't necessarily see that happening, but I would really like to see her get a high profile win like that at some point in the near future.
Real quick, inquiring minds want to know. Yes, my windows are open. They are very open. It's a nice breezy day today, so they are open.
For anybody listening, that was a question from Brian Alston. We wanted to know if we were getting sirens in the backyard, sirens outside of Bruce's house.
Oh.
I don't know why I said backyard.
Yard in Hawaii?
Sirens outside.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. Because Brian wants to play his drinking game. How many sirens can we hear in a show?
No sirens, but if you change it to mufflers and exhaust, you're going to get a lot more drinks in there. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm in a basement without any windows, and I normally do this show shirtless, but now we're doing this, so here we are.
Yeah, when Kelly and I were doing a little bit of a test earlier, Kelly pops up without a shirt on, and I'm like, "Wait, what? What's this?"
I owed you.
I'm the one that gets shit.
Yeah.
All right.
Both of you are northern white, so it's kind of blinding on the screen. No, I'll digress.
Oh, yes. I can't even tan. I just skipped to red.
Yeah, me too.
All right. The Good Brothers, they were kicked out of the show, but they still had to promote that match. So they mentioned that it will be a Battleground. So they had their little fight elsewhere. Sean Spears. Sorry. BJ says,
that was great.
Take it off, Kelly. He did add a ha-ha. So yes, I too know that I am a joke. Thank you. Thank you. Sean Spears, he was talking to the PC kids, and then Josh Briggs got all up in his business. I think Briggs is maybe supposed to be the badass face, and Spears is supposed to be the heel, and the fans aren't going along with it because then Javon Evans sided with Briggs. It's a weird situation, this one. And long story short, Evans back. Oh, somebody got backdropped on a table. I should have taken more notes than I even did.
Sean Spears
got backdropped.
Yeah. So before the match could start, whatever, he attacked Briggs with the chair in the back. Evans confronted him. They fought out to the ringside. While at ringside, Spears shoved Evans into the steel steps, set up for a pedigree on the announce table. Evans back body dropped him. The table did not budge. Back in the ring, he gave him his springboard cutter from the apron, which was very, very beautiful. And that's how it ended. Yeah.
Natalya beat Izzi Dame. That was a match that was on. Izzi Dame walked to the ring like somebody who was pissed that she no longer had another person there to do the talking for her.
I think she was pissed that her new music sucks.
It did. Gallus showed up, and man, I wish they blew my kilt up a little more, but they're just there. Obafemi and can't read some of these notes that come through, folks. Obafemi and Wesley. There's going to be a triple threat. We were asked by Sean, do you guys think that Oba retains the title? Don't need another three-way, but it should be a fun match. I like Obafemi so far. Oh, so do we. I think he will retain, but he is the best way to add doubt is to make it a three-way because they know we don't think he will lose a one-on-one. So that's the reason for these, I think. And also in the couldn't have seen this coming file, Lexus King and Dante Chen are still feuding. Dante Chen being a feud at all works for me. That, I believe, was everything. Oh, Carl Fredericks is coming back. Oh, and his name is Eddie Thorpe.
I love him in New Japan too. Yes.
Because I watched every match he wrestled in New Japan, and that is still more matches than I've seen him wrestle in NXT by quite a bit. So there you go. Nate, anything on any of those last few items?
Oh man, let's see. Biggest thing I really, I guess, want to mention is Javon Evans. Like I think this guy's got such an upside. I think he needs a little bit of work on the mic, but that said, and I didn't realize he was 20 until they said it tonight. I knew he was young, but I didn't realize he was quite that young. All the upside in the world. He's got an incredible look. He moves in the ring like, I mean, nobody I've ever seen before. So I like really, really hoping that he's got a great run coming up. Other than that, we had I guess talking about the Good Brothers getting kicked out. I still think they may, again, talked about this in Wrestling Night in America. I think they may wind up going over Axiom and Nathan Frazier. At least I hope they do. I'm kind of done with Axiom and Nathan Frazier as champions. I like them separately, and I liked them when they were chasing the title. But for some reason, as champions, they haven't really clicked, and they've kind of seemed more heelish than anything. So I'm not really digging their runs. I'd like to see the Good Brothers actually dethrone them as champions of Battleground. I think that would be a good. We're talking about a reclamation project. I think that might be a good way to try and build Good Brothers back up a little bit too. Definitely define down on the main roster, but they're two very talented individuals. Looking at Carl Anderson tonight, like I feel like he's probably in some of the best shape of his life. I'd like to see them, because I mean, who knows how much longer they're going to have on, their metaphorical bump card, if you will. They're starting to get up there in age as well. But I think they've got a great gimmick. Their humor and stuff is something I latch onto. It's my style of humor. So I I'm hoping that that's kind of the case. Because I'd like to see Nathan Frazier and Axiom kind of move on, whether it's together or move on separately. But we've seen them together for so long at this point, back to their best of 5 or 7, whatever it was. I think it was best of 5. There's definitely that respect that they have between one another, but the team itself, especially as champions, just hasn't really clicked. And I don't remember the other things you threw our way at this point, so I'll just throw it to Bruce.
You wouldn't remember them. They were that's how
Yeah,
big they were. Bruce,
They
go
were
ahead.
bit players.
Well, I'll try to remember everything too. The real reason why Nate likes the Good Brothers is because he finds representation in the bald, bearded white guy community with them. So I just want to make sure that Nate feels noticed, gets his representation down, and that we all see him and we see them. Understandable.
There we go, right there.
Carl Anderson. I know we always talk about it, but that one run he had to the G1 finals, man, just. This man also still has one of the most wicked spine busters in the entire game, right? So I like he has potential, a lot of potential as a singles, but he always found he always was more comfortable, I feel like, in a tag team role and also in the comedic role, which isn't going to get you so far in terms of singles championships half the card, right? I do think the Good Brothers are going to go over, mostly just because I just cannot stand Axiom and Fraser as champion right now, even though I like them both as individuals and as a team on the chase. I just don't like how they've been booked as champion, right? So when it comes to Obafemi, the issue with making it seem like he's in danger in a triple threat here is I feel like he won a triple threat not too long ago or a fatal four-way, one of the two. And I feel like he won by power bombing one person onto the other and then pinning somebody, if I remember correctly. That's in my memory, but my memory is very fallible. So just got to go back and look. So I'm not sure if I really think that he is going to lose this. I do think if he does lose, Coffee is taking the pin to Wesley. That is what I think would happen if they take the title off of Femi. I don't think he's going to be the one that actually takes any kind of decision. And I know there was something else. There was also something in the chat that I wanted to make up that I've got. Oh, Dante Chen Less is King. That's what it was, right? It is still going on. The only good thing about this is we get more Dante Chen, of course. And more Dante Chen is always a great thing. What I want to bring up kind of in relation to Dante Chen, and I think it's something that is been solidified tonight. Mr. Stone's not his manager. Stone seems like he's Ava's assistant. And I don't feel like they necessarily explicitly said that tonight, but he really was acting as her secondary. And so I wonder if this is the role he's now going to assume moving forward. Oh, Boa got released, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, there it is. Had to deliver that bad news in the chat. Boa released. Yeah, that is I believe, our show. Sorry to end on a downer. Yes, no more Boa. I dug him, but if they weren't going to give him something in the, I don't know, what they have him, 6 years, we decided, 6-7 years. It was a long time, but at any rate, that I believe is our show. I'm Kelly Wells. You can find me on social media at Spooky Milk. Nate, who are you?
Last I checked, I'm a vape head, according to the chat. But
according to Wade,
that was me, actually.
Oh, it was you. Okay, I feel a lot better about that then. I thought it was Wade this whole time. All right. For anybody listening in our chat, it said PWTorch and it called me a vape head. And I was like, oh, crap. But all right, it was just Kelly. That's fine. I'm cool with that. At Nate Lindberg on Twitter, you can check the things out I do. I check the things out. Check out the things that I do at natelindberg.com. And I'll someday be able to get through an outro before, without screwing it up.
That one actually was Wade. Bruce, who are you?
I am Brucey Hazelwood. I am not a vape head. You can find me at B_Lee253 and my report for tonight up at the Torch and on the VIP side. I will not be able to watch or be on the Battleground post-show this Sunday. So catch me again next Tuesday.
All right. That is it. And we will see you in 7. Cheers.